Let me throw that question to Mr. Padgaonkar first. How are we supposed to look at the last 24 hours in which suddenly you've seen this kind of exchange of words between the two sides? Well, more from the Pakistani side than from ours, but it did start with our army chief saying, yes, we have the capability to do what the Americans did. How do you look at those statements?
We need to trace this back to what's been happening ever since the killing of Osama bin Laden. I think sections of our media have gone gung-ho over what has happened. I think this degree of jingoism regarding the discomfiture of Pakistan, has contributed a little bit to the exchanges of the past 24 hours. And I think the sooner these mutual recriminations end, the better, because both sides have at the same time reasserted that they would want to continue to engage in a comprehensive dialogue. We'll come to the nature of it a little later and what this Osama killing really means for the dialogue. But I believe that the kind of statements we heard from the army chief and then the reactions to those and further reactions and so on, I think that doesn't really speak for two mature nations.
Why are you shaking your head?
I'm shaking my head because with all due respect to my former editor, I think he's towing Mr. Digvijay Singh's line. And this is, absolutely, completely off the reality. Fact is that India did not provoke Pakistan at all. I mean, if the army chief says we are ready to mount this kind of operation if need be, agar mauka aayega is exact words he used, what is wrong with that? Of course we must be ready. India is a major power. And if Pakistan shelters or harbors such a person, and we have definite proof, we have every right to go there and grab the man.
But is it helpful to make those kind of statements, given the current atmosphere? You just restarted the dialogue and your relationship with Pakistan is so different from America's relationship.
Frankly, this is my personal opinion. I believe there should be no dialogue with Pakistan. The conditions are not conducive, they have not been conducive, and nothing will come of it. We have been just running round and round the bush, and the Prime Minister's repeated assertion that Pakistan is also a victim of terrorism does not help, because Pakistan may have been affected by some internal disorders, but Pakistan is also the promoter and exporter of terror, and Pakistan has to acknowledge that role, and Pakistan must really make some visible progress on 2611 people who are there hiding in Pakistan. Without that, what's the point of the dialogue? What are we talking about?
Okay, and so therefore you feel the army chief's statement was justified?
Fully justified.
Sir, as a former service chief yourself, what do you think? Should the army chief have said that?
I beg your pardon?
Should the army chief have said what he did?
I will not comment on that straight away. First of all, what I'd like to say, the dialogue has to be there. You have to talk. You're with the biggest enemy, whatever it is, you have to talk. Because unless you talk, neither can the other know what one is up to. So you have to talk. The question of whether anyone from our side should make any comments, well, if a question is put to you, you have to answer it. But what I would say is that minimum words at this time will help. Now, the Prime Minister himself, I think, has come under fire to say that his statement was muted. In fact, he spoke good 12 hours after the incident. In fact, he didn't even speak, as far as I know, but he gave a written statement.
It was a written statement.
Well, some may default him, but I think that is the right thing to do. Our intention is not to tell Pakistan right now, hey, listen, you guys are in the wrong. Our intention is to make sure that the pain that we are going through gets over. That is what our intention is, not to default Pakistan. There is no doubt about it that Pakistan is a terrorist state.
That's strong.
Oh, absolutely.
Strong words to use.
No,
yes.
Absolutely. There is no doubt on it.
And yet you still believe it's important to talk to them.
I think they will never admit it. They cannot admit it. And I think what we have to talk in terms of that the United States, I think, what is the International Conference on Terrorism, I think that is some aspect that India has to take before the United Nations. But while all this is being done, the basic thing that comes across to you in the happening the last few days, or in fact the actual operation, the 2nd of May, that this operation was absolutely unknown to Pakistan. Whether Pakistan, the Prime Minister, the Chief of the Army Staff, the ISI, whether they were aware that Osama was actually in Pakistan, I think you can take a take either way. My feeling is, it's just a gut feeling, I would say that the top hierarchy actually didn't know.
that this operation was going to take place.
And
I'm going to talk about that, sir, in just a little more detail. I just want to know if we can go across to Islamabad okay, I believe we can go there in just a bit. But how do you look, Mr. Pargaonkar, then at the Pakistani reaction to all of this? Because there's a sense also in the last 24 hours that maybe this is an opportunity then, given that Pakistan is so badly cornered, that they might sort of try and divert the attention to India. And you've seen Salman Bashir's rather uncharacteristic, some would say uncharacteristically strong statements, and now you have
it's not uncharacteristic at all. I mean, it's a it is a Pavlovian reflex. Every time they feel cornered,
yeah, so they turn the attention on us.
This kind of rhetoric. I think the whole situation was, I think, most aptly summed up by a columnist in Dawn today. He said the world now looks at Pakistan either as a failed state or as a rogue state, right? Now that is the kind of perception that's gone quite across. So I quite agree with what the Air Marshal says. The international image of Pakistan has never been lower. My contention, however, is it is for the world to see this. The world is acknowledging what we've been saying for years. Having said that, I think discretion is the better part of valor in these circumstances. Keep quiet, sit back, observe, watch, and then make up your mind. What is the point of going gung-ho and indulging in this kind of jingoism?
All right. Quick response, Mr. Mitra. Yes, you continue to furiously shake your head.
No, because, sorry to say, Dilip seems to excuse all that Pakistan is doing. And
but you have a former Air Force chief who's saying that it's a terrorist state, he called it, and he says talk to them. You need to talk to them.
Terrorist state part, I agree. The talk to them part, I don't agree. So, but nevertheless, I mean, we can agree to disagree on that. But I entirely disagree with Dilip. You see, there is no meeting ground, because I think, you see, no, just let us look at the sequence. You have Salman Bashir holding a press conference yesterday and blurting out a few things. I understand this point that he had to do something. Then General Kayani steps in. Now, to ensure that the message is not got wrong, that to warn India, to say that, if India dares to do this, I mean, when is India talking of doing it? The two of them, the Foreign Secretary as well as the Army Chief, rubbing home the point, and therefore, just because US had hammered them, they turn their thing to India and start kind of...
Actually, that's a valid point.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.